Hello everyone and welcome to Double Bits Workshop. In today's episode, I'll be taking this guitar, which few of my friends well know because they actually have a lot more time playing it than me. One in particular, of course, and family as well. I've dusted it off and pulled it out of the closet that I've had it in because I want to keep it on display. If it's on display, I actually might end up using it more often. So what I'm going to use is some of the scrap, nicer pallet wood that I have lying around, and I'm going to make a stand for this that I can then mount to the wall and hang this on it. So rather a hanger stand. There's a couple different terms on eBay as well as Amazon for them, as a guitar hanger or just a guitar stand, even though it doesn't actually sit on the ground. Oddly enough, that is one of the terms they use. So yeah, let's get to building a quick little stand. This will probably be just a quick little video. I'll kind of give you a little bit of pointers, but I'm pretty much just going to take one of these boards, cut it down, and I'm going to cut into it and make the fork that holds the neck of this, and then I'm going to put a little brace underneath. So pretty quick and easy project, nothing too hard, not anything that is so astronomically hard that no one can do it. In fact, this is going to be considered the easy pallet wood guitar hanger stand, or just guitar hanger. So hopefully you enjoy, and let's get to it. Alrighty, so maintaining the basics of this being just a kind of quick and simple project, I will use one of the nicer looking pieces of wood that I have for the back piece, but I needed something just a little bit wider, so I'm going to use something a little bit more plain Jane, but fits the fact that I just want it to kind of overhang a little bit. So I've got roughly about 3/4 of an inch on either side of the neck. I'm just going to measure off the neck because depending on what guitar you have, that dimension will change. So I'm giving myself just a little bit something thicker. So this itself is actually 1/2 inch thick, and then I'm going about 3/4 of an inch on either side. So beyond that, I'm going to want to measure kind of the distance of the neck from the back to the front, which as well will change. This is a little bit more of a thin style guitar. Some of them are a little bit wider, a little thicker. So this as well will change. So I'm just laying a board on the ground, or on a flat piece here, putting it up here, and I want it to go past roughly about here. So I'm going about rough inch past, and that'll be my cut, and then I'm going to take that piece and cut out the V in it. So still kind of holding true to that idea. I do have a slight crack in this pallet piece of wood, but I'm going to be cutting that out anyway, so it doesn't really necessarily matter. So I'm going to hold it up. So I'm going to take 3/4 of an inch in from the outside of my board, which the overall width of this board is just under 3.5 inches. It's kind of rounded there a little bit. So going 3.5 inches, and I'm just going in 3/4 of an inch on either side. This is going to be the part that I cut out. And then as for depth, we wanted to go back just a little bit farther. So probably roughly there. So our full dimension is here. I'll probably bring it back just a little bit and kind of taper it in, so that way I get the full V effect. So something along those lines. And then I'm going to take in the sides of it, so that way it matches up a little bit more with my material that I have for my back. There we go, so we have the beginnings of a V. That'll be kind of a rough draft of what our end piece will look like. Looking at the actual depth, 2 1/4 deep till it starts its curve on either side. All the way back to the dead center of it, we're looking at 2 7/8 for my depth that I'm going off of. Overall length on this is 4 inches and 1/4. And then 1/2 inch thickness. To kind of give you some rough estimates. And then I'm just giving this more of what I feel would be strong enough and visually appealing. I'm going to go through and cut these pieces out with my bandsaw. Alternatively, you can use a coping saw, hand saw, or even punch a few holes with a drill, and then you can kind of connect the dots with any normal kind of hand saw, circular saw, whatever you feel comfortable with. This is a smaller piece, so you don't really want to go at a chop saw with it, so you don't end up losing a few fingers. So I'm going to cut these out real quick, and then I'll cut the actual length of this backboard. Alright, I'm going to use a half-rounded file and a normal mill file to get this down a little bit closer. And I'm going to use my trusty little Black & Decker folding stand here. Top works as a great vise. Alright, so now that I have the V cut, and I cut in a 15-degree-ish angle, just whatever looked good for my eye at least. I wanted something that would be up, so that way when the guitar sits on it, it kind of pulls itself in. Otherwise you can go with a flat 90-degree, but at that point I would suggest putting something that kind of latches or holds the guitar in place. But I wanted this to be something that I could just grab and go, and also is just kind of a nice showcase piece without taking away from the guitar too much, or being kind of odd and bulky with some kind of latching metal, which would be kind of a little bit scary if you did bump the guitar and have the strings or anything else just hammering on a metal post of some kind. And if I went with wood, a lot of the time, unless I did something like a dowel rod or something like that, it just became very complicated. We want something nice and easy. So now what I'm thinking for my back piece is I can go simplistic with this and cut just a small piece. What's required, what's needed. But because I like the way that this wood looks, grain orientation, so on and so forth, I want to have a little bit more showcased. So for my personal preference, I'm actually going to have this go from the top of the guitar down to where it needs to be and just a little bit past, so that way I can have something that I can also put in here, maybe as a bracer. We'll see if I need it. Otherwise, for right now, I think I'm going to keep it simplistic, mount it up, let glue sit overnight, and then see how this sits on there. If it seems a little rickety, then I might put in a bracer arm, but for right now, I think I'm just going to do some wood glue, a couple pin nails to hold in place, and maybe a screw, if I can get away with it, to help situate everything in for that piece to here. We'll see what kind of material I'm working with, and maybe just one screw to get away with it. Again, just a rough measurement, kind of by eye. I like mine tentatively down there. So now I'm going to make a cut, and then I think I might chamfer the edges or either do like a straight angle or round them. We'll see how I'm feeling here in a sec. Alrighty, well, hopefully you enjoyed this kind of a bit of a fun build for me, and hopefully it was something that you see as a future project for yourself as well. It turned out really well. You get all that nice wood grain that I was really hoping to kind of keep more of a minimalistic view. I kind of chamfer the edges. I have both these on this end as well as up here are 45s, but I kind of expanded them down just a little bit further on the top rather than the bottom, just to kind of create a little intrigue and something different. Here you can kind of get a bit more of an idea of, I think it's more like that, but you can get a bit more of an idea of what it looked like before and after. And I'm real excited to hang it on the wall next. So now, technically done. We'll see how well this holds up. I might end up having to make a second one. If I do, I'll make a video on that. But otherwise, I feel like this screw with this glue, once it fully sets, is going to be perfectly fine. And like I said, it's about a 15-ish degree angle that I put on it, and looks phenomenal. So I will get that guitar dusted off and get that mounted up tomorrow. Thank you all so very much for watching the video. Stay tuned and you'll see me hanging here in just a quick second.